If you are literally shaking from the recent national tragedies, but you have no direct affiliation with the victims, you need to get over yourself. I have seen a few overly dramatic people on Twitter and Reddit going on about how they are literally shaking from the recent spree of mass shooting attacks. While those attacks are worth a long in-depth civil discussion by itself, if you aren't directly affiliated with the victims, you need to get a grip with yourself and stop making everything about you. Like you are taking national tragedies and making it about yourself. If it bothers you that much, get off your ass and speak to your local lawmakers. It just really annoys the shit out of me. Like, I may like guns, but at least I respect anyone calling for action against guns. That's action. You're voicing a stance, and that's good. You saying OMG, I'm literally shaking is just fucking worthless reaction to tell anyone. Get a grip. Edit. So far I have been mad and called a cunt and a dumpster faggot. Very classy. You're mad about me saying anything about these attacks, but you realize the recent Orlando attack was a gay nightclub, right? Is that irony lost on you when calling me a faggot? Otherwise, thank you for the mostly civil discussion, even if you really disagree with me. Only a few people grossly misunderstood me. I also do have empathy for innocent people getting slaughtered minding their own business, but I don't have room for people seeking attention over something that has little to do with them. Also, shout out to those people dropping peer-reviewed statistics on all of this. Edit 2, I've had 2 people DM me hoping I one day get empathy lol. How do you go outside every day without having an emotional breakdown? Good God, haha. Edit 3, one more DM telling me to kill myself. Oof. It's always good to feel empathy. It's just gotten hard to not get desensitized when there are so many. Though there are many who use tragedies for attention, there are many others who do feel a large amount of fear and anxiety. It's these events that serve as reminders it can happen anywhere at any time, and quite frankly, that's terrifying. I mean, people are afraid that it could happen to them someday. People are being conditioned to be easy to manipulate and controlled. If you are shaking based on what the news tells you, then you are right where evil people want you to be. I know it sounds kinda wonky, but it's not a conspiracy theory, it's literal social programming. This is also reinforced through being rewarded with validation for the people that embrace it and send dramatic tweets. I don't know, you don't have to have a personal affiliation to be upset by this. It's not something that just affects the families of the people killed and injured. It's a symptom that is emblematic of the disease we, as a people, are struggling with. I live in El Paso. I wasn't literally shaking, but am I not allowed to feel affected by something horrific that happened in my community? Then am I allowed to say that America should get over 9/11? I'd rather have somebody with too much empathy than someone who has none. It's terrorism for a reason. It does incite fear in people, in order to change behaviors in many cases. I'm not going to shame anyone for actually shaking or being upset or getting cyclical thoughts, or legit depressed about it. But if you're going on social media to validate your feelings, then you are just looking for attention or projecting so people know how much you care, similar to thoughts and prayers. I don't know about literally shaking, but it certainly makes you afraid to send your kids to school. I have 4 kids. I'm in my 30s, and I like guns a lot. I've been kept up at night before, or when I drop my toddler off at daycare, which is at the elementary school, I wonder about how good security is seeing her innocent little face. And it gets me anxious. I guess terrorism is working on me lol. Another reason I have so many guns. Even out in the country, meth people are everywhere. If I call the police, it will take them 45 minutes to respond. So I can't rely on the government to keep my 4 kids safe. I bought this farm and we moved, and about 2 months later there was a school shooting at my oldest daughter's high school in Marshall County, KY. He shot like 13 people, and killed 3, I think. She would have been in the cafeteria that day. But shaking, I wasn't. on high alert all the time and in anxiety about this stuff. Day to day I am. Empathy for others and the understanding that we are coming upon an age of rage and any of us could find ourselves or our loved ones in the same situation. Or, to put another way, if you see a mass shooting at a bar on a Saturday night, like the latest one, you can automatically relate and see yourself as vulnerable. I think your opinion is clearly unpopular, so it belongs here. Beyond that, it does show some lack of understanding on your part or a denial even. It is a sobering thought to realize you are at the mercy of others as we do not spend our time dwelling on it. When these things happen, it twinges our conscience to a place of understanding and, thereby, fear and helplessness. So you can feel empathy and concern only when someone you personally know is harmed. Well, if it's happening all over the United States, at a variety of different locations, I think it's okay to be pretty fearful. If you think about it, how is it not? It's all at random for the most part. We all know shit happens when you never think it would. That's happening pretty well at least monthly down there, so it's almost luck of the draw. It's numbers of national tragedies all over the United States. It keeps spreading and spreading like a plague. Do you have any idea how difficult it is to get a grip on something that is literally shaking? I am so sorry that you're so emotional about people being emotional. When Tim got beheaded on a Greyhound bus in Manitoba, Canada, I was so anxious and almost sick because of it. I was in my teens. It's a plausible reaction, dude. It's good and even normal to be affected by things that are happening near you. Unpopular. This is such a weird opinion. Why are you so mad at these people? Like they're not harming you at all, and they're probably just scared because these recent shootings were in such benign places, a Walmart for example. You'd be surprised what 24 hours without news, radio, television, and social media will do for your mind. Well, seeing as I have to go to a certain big box store to do my daughter's back-to-school shopping and 2 of these shootings were in said store, I think I have grounds to literally shake with fear. These people were going to the store to get milk and shit. The kid from last week was at a summer garlic festival. Being afraid to leave the house used to be a phobia. Our society is allowing it to become a reality. Well, I live in Colombia. Here we watch news with at least a murder a day during lunch. So basically the context have made us very desensitized. Most people that have that big reactions are people never exposed to real violence. Basically I felt so little by so many tragic news I know is bad, but my body cannot give the same alteration for something that is so common. In contrast, somewhere where a murder is a rare occurrence, this news are really nerve-wracking. I look at the new and social leaders are being killed by numbers of 3 to 4 a week. My reaction, at least the peace make them realize they are political murders instead of using the guerrilla as a scapegoat. I've never had a great violence act against my family or relatives. Just a couple of mugged cousins and friends. My sensitivity still exists. I felt almost nothing watching human pieces after a bomb on a police base. But almost threw up after watching a beheading with a machete. Both were videos sent via WhatsApp to many people and got to me. I don't like to see them. I hate that I'm so used to that, but is a survival mechanism. Probably people who really shake are upper class people that have nightmares after watching a horror movie. Because that's the only violence they know. TLD are some people that the only violence they've ever seen is on movies will react harshly upon violence news. With extreme exposure to this news you will not feel anything, only worry about saving yourself from it. Disclaimer: nowadays the country is mostly safe unless you are in the way of a corrupt politician, drug lord, or both, either trying to help your community or the environment. I have 2 of my best friends driving from CA to FL this week, and they were in El Paso yesterday, the morning of the attacks. Let me tell you that I was, in fact, literally shaking as I rushed to call them once I heard about what was happening. Even when they told me they were safe, I was still horrified and visibly shaking. I think it took me a couple hours after getting off the phone them before I could really relax. The shooter drove from Dallas to El Paso with the specific intent to kill brown people because he was a brainwashed white supremacist. The drive from El Paso to Dallas is almost 9 hours long. I don't think most people realize this when we're talking about what happened. He sat in his car for 9 hours with the intent and passion to kill innocent people in a community he's not from only because they're brown/Mexican. In my opinion, you should be shaking. People on Twitter talking about how they're afraid to go to work tomorrow. Bitch, you more likely to fall in the bathtub and die than get shot by a random psycho. There is a difference between empathy and sensationalism. I believe Op is referring to sensationalists. You can be empathetic without feeling the urge to shout how bad you feel from your social media rooftop. I'm sorry, but the irony. It just really annoys the shit out of me. Oh, I see, so this is about you. A pet peeve of yours, is it? Something that annoys you? This is an opinion you have? About a national tragedy? About how others are responding to it? Like, I may like guns, but at least I respect anyone. Oh, is this still about you? I'm sorry, where is this about the victims? Because all I see here is a gatekeeper who wants to make a point about how much better he is than everybody else because of 2 fucking words. I personally think a lot of these comments are off the mark here. Op isn't talking about empathy, he's talking about narcissism. There's a fine line between expressing genuine dismay and sorrow for what's happened, vs saying it to get attention. I think we're past the point of we all grieve differently. I had to tell a close person to me this. He found out that his wife had been relatively recently raped, and all he wanted to do was find the guy and make him pay for what he's done. But it was all about how angry he was feeling about this revelation, not necessarily how his wife was feeling about the situation. He didn't care that his wife wanted to move past it, which I disagree. I think you should pursue it to the highest degree to prevent future incidents. It was all about how dare this person do this to my wife, this guy is gonna pay macho thinking, not about, what is my wife's mental state after this traumatic event, or how does my wife feel about pursuing legal action. Bottom line, to say that you're literally shaking about an event such as this when you're not linked to it causes me to think, like Op, that you're making it about yourself. In my humble opinion, genuine outrage does not logically begot emotional/physical responses. Edit, in my personal anecdote, couple is recently married, husband found out about incident had occurred prior to marriage. Yeah, fuck empathy, right? Most people just overdo the empathy thing and are attention-seeking idiots. I work with a ton of people like that, it's obnoxious.